Hello Remove Nation and welcome to yoga. I hope that you come to this practice today ready to just kind of let go, just bring some positive energy today. Let's go ahead and start in a comfortable seated position. You can sit here up on the legs if that's comfortable for you. You can take a seat, you can add a block or a pillow, whatever feels comfortable for you today. Just go ahead and begin sitting up nice and tall, getting the shoulders back and down, opening up through that heart center, placing the hands either palms down on the knee or palms up on the knee. I encourage you to close your eyes and just begin breathing here today. Just noticing the breath at this point, not judging it, just allowing the breath to enter the body and exhale out. Good. As we are sitting here in this seated position, as we begin our practice, I encourage you to bring a thought to your mind that you would like to focus on during this practice. Maybe you want to focus on strength. Maybe you want to focus on caring, sending out positive energy into the world. Maybe there's a person that you would like to kind of bring that focus onto today. Just whatever that is, just bringing that into that heart center at this moment. Good. As we are here, let's go ahead and start deepening those inhales and exhales. You can keep the hands on the knees, or you can take the hand on the belly and on the chest. Just whichever one makes you feel more comfortable here. I really want you to focus on that 3-part breath as you take inhale and fill up the chest all the way down into the belly, feeling that belly expand. And then as you exhale, feel that belly fall in and exhale everything out. The breath is our life source. We use it as we flow through each of our poses today. Just allowing the body, the mind, the breath to all work together. Good. As you're working on that 3-part breath, maybe think about taking in some of that ujjayi breathing, which just means you place the tip of the tongue on top of the mouth, or on the roof of your mouth, opening up through the throat, kind of like you're fogging up a glass mirror. You should be able to hear that breath. You are still inhaling and exhaling through the nose. It's kind of engaging more through that throat, just kind of bringing the focus to the breath. Good. If you're sitting cross-legged here, let's go ahead and exchange those legs and take the other one in front. Coming back into some breathing here. We're going to take a few sun breaths here from that seated position. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, release. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, release. Inhale up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, walk the hands back about halfway, and then if it's available, I would like you to kind of rock up onto the hands and knees in this position. If not, just come to a tabletop position. But rocking up into that hands and knees position. I'm going to turn so that I'm on my mat completely here. Good, so in that tabletop position, We're gonna go ahead and set those hips back. Go ahead and reach those fingertips out into that child's pose. Let the chest fall towards the floor. Reaching with those yogi fingers, setting those hips back, and breathe. Again, practicing that deep diaphragmatic breath, practicing that ujjayi breathing. Good. On your next inhale, we're going to come up onto the hands and knees. Bring the knees in if you head wide in that stance a little bit. Bring those knees under the hips. Tucking those toes, pushing up into that downward facing dog. Good. Lifting those hips, pushing that ground away from you. Maybe here, pedaling the feet. If this is your first downward dog of the day, if you're feeling a little tight here, we can go ahead and just pedal those feet. Open up through the back of the legs. Open up through that back body. Good. Once you're ready, we're going to go ahead and reach those heels towards the mat, towards the earth. Feeling the stretch throughout this downward facing dog. Letting the blood come to the head, come to the brain as we're upside down. Kind of rejuvenating the brain. Good. Take a nice deep inhale. We're going to walk those feet towards the hands. Good. Coming into a forward fold. So from here, you can find a slight bend in the knee if that feels comfortable. If you'd like, you can extend the legs, whichever feels good for you today. We're just going to hang here for just a second. Letting those arms either drag the ground, you may be grabbing those elbows, swaying back and forth here. Just letting the head fall towards the earth. Again, letting some of that blood come to the brain. Good. Finding that forward fold, let those hands fall. From here, we're going to take a nice deep inhale, slowly rolling up. One vertebrae at a time. Letting those shoulders come up, back, and down. Lifting the head. Good. Finding our mountain pose. Feeling strong in our mountain, grounded. Opening up those yogi toes, pushing down into the earth. Feeling strong through the core, opening through that heart center. Again, always bringing that focus to that word or that person that you would like to have today. Good. Take a few deep breaths here in that mountain pose. Again, closing the eyes if that feels comfortable. Good. Take one more deep inhale. As you exhale, go ahead and step wide onto your mat. We're going to come into our sunflower, moonflower flow here. So stepping wide, maybe just a little bit past hip distance apart. Toes are slightly out. We're going to flow with our breath as we come into our sunflower, moonflower. So we're going to take a nice deep inhale, reaching the arms up, extending up to the sky. As we exhale, bringing those elbows in towards the body, setting those hips back. Good. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and exhale. Good. Take one more deep inhale up. As you exhale, release the hands down to the sides of the body. Good. Go ahead and step that foot back up to the top of the mat. We're going to go into a swan dive into our downward facing dog here. So inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Go ahead and place the hands on the mat, so maybe finding a bend in the knee if you need to do that. We're going to step those feet back into our downward facing dog. Good. Breathe here for just a few breaths. Take one more deep inhale. As you exhale, go ahead and come up onto the toes as you lower those knees down. Pull those hands underneath the shoulders. We're coming into our tabletop position. We're going to work into our cat and cow. So from here, we're going to inhales coming into cat, opening up through the back body, tucking that chin, pulling that belly button in. And then as you exhale, coming into that cow, lifting the tailbone, lifting the crown of the head, squeeze those shoulder blades together, and just flow back and forth. Flowing with your breath, taking your time. Good, let's take one more here. Good. Coming back to that neutral spine in that tabletop position, we're going to come into a variation of an active bird dog sunbird. So as from here, we're going to take a nice deep inhale. You're going to reach that right arm up and extend that left leg, but instead of going out straight, you're going to bend that knee, come up, curve that back just slightly, and then come in, bring that elbow to knee. So inhale up, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale, inhale, and exhale. Good. Return to that tabletop position, reset. Take a nice deep inhale as we go into that left side. Inhale, and exhale, squeezing through that back body. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale, inhale, and exhale. Last one, inhale, and exhale, coming back through that tabletop position. Let's go ahead and drop those hips towards the heels. Reach through those fingertips as we come into child's pose, resting here for just a moment. Breathing deep breaths in through the nose, out through the nose. Good, good, and come up through that tabletop position. We're gonna tuck those toes, send those hips up into downward facing dog. Good, let's go ahead and come out. Take a nice deep inhale. From here, we're gonna push off our feet, coming into that plank position, dropping those knees down to the ground. We're gonna go through our modified flow or a half series. So we're gonna take a nice deep inhale. As we exhale, lower. Inhale up to cobra. Exhale, set those hips back into child's pose. Inhale out. Exhale, lower. Keep those elbows close to the body. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale, pushing those hips back to child's pose. Let's flow with your own breath, about 2 or 3 more of those. Good, just using the breath as you flow through. Good, let's flow through one last one here. Good, meeting in that child's pose. Good, take a nice deep inhale, coming out into that tabletop position, tucking those toes, sending those hips up into that downward facing dog. Pausing here for a breath. And then as we inhale, we're gonna walk those feet towards the hand, coming into that forward fold. Good, so from our forward fold, take a nice deep inhale as we slowly roll up one vertebra at a time, coming into our mountain. Okay, we're going to work into our sun salutations from here. So from the top of our mat, in that mountain pose, feeling strong, grounded through the feet. Take a nice deep inhale, sweep the arms up. As we exhale, swan dive forward into a forward fold. Looking up halfway monkey pose. Exhale, fold. Placing the hands onto the mat. We're going to step that right foot back, coming up into our lunge. So option here to lower that knee or stay up in this full lunge. We're going to hold here for 3 breaths. Keeping those shoulders back and down, opening up through the heart center. Sinking a little bit deeper into that lunge with each breath. Take one more deep inhale, reach through those fingertips. Exhale, fold over that leg. Step that left foot back to meet the right. We're going to come into chaturanga, basically lowering in a push-up. So option to stay here or onto the knees. Lower down. Inhale into up dog or cobra pose. Tuck those toes. Downward facing dog. Inhale, walk those feet up to meet the hands. Good. Exhale. Inhale up to monkey pose. Nice flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Into prayer, maybe giving a slight back bend at the top. Exhale, hands to heart center and a mountain. Good, we're going to do all that on the other side. Grounding down through that mountain pose. Keeping those shoulders back, chest is open. Heart center is open. We're going to inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, swan dive. Inhale, look up halfway, monkey pose. Exhale, fold, place the hands onto the mat, step that left foot back. Coming into that lunge, either lowering that knee or staying tall. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, sinking into the lunge. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Take that right foot back to meet the left, chaturanga, either on the knees or up tall. Lower down. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Tucking those toes, sending those hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Option here to float the feet to the hands or walk the feet to the hands. Exhale. Inhale, halfway monkey pose. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. Slight back bend if that feels good for you today. Exhale, hands to heart center. Very nice. Good. All right, we're going to go into a couple of standing stretches to kind of work on a few things we haven't done before. That's okay. So from our mountain pose, we are going to take a nice, I'll say it this way, we're going to take a nice deep inhale. We're going to reach the hands up. As we exhale, go ahead and release the hands. You have option here to either grab the fingertips and pull down towards the earth, opening up through that chest center, or you have the option here to take prayer behind the hands, prayer behind the back, whichever one feels good for you today. So we're going into a chest expansion, opening that heart. So grounded down nice into the earth, keeping those shoulders back and down, either grabbing the hands or prayer behind the heart. Think about rolling the shoulders back and down. Take a nice deep inhale as you extend up through the crown of the head. Try not to compress that lower spine, but as you come into a slight back bend here, opening up through that heart center. one more deep inhale. As you exhale, we're going to begin to fold forward. Good. Go ahead and release the hands. Let them fall down towards the earth. Good. Just coming into an opposite position than what we were just in. Good. Take a nice deep inhale. We're going to roll up one vertebra at a time, coming into a standing position. Good. So, taking those hands again behind the body, grabbing those fingertips, maybe even finding that steeple finger. Either way, we're going to reach those hands down towards the earth, open up through that heart center. Good. Take a nice deep inhale. As we exhale, we're going to fold forward. Good. And I want you to think about reaching the hands up towards the sky. Opening up through the shoulders. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, go ahead and release the hands down to the lower back and then all the way down to the earth. Good. Kind of shake those hands out. Good. As we are in this forward fold position, we're going to come into a pose called gorilla. This is going to help with some wrist pain. So in this position, you're going to be folded forward, hinging at those hips. Think about coming into a bend in the knee. We're going to take the hands underneath the feet. So take the hand under the foot, either side, both sides here, all the way to where the wrist crease is where the big toe is. So then you're going to rock back and forth gently here. Obviously, you don't want to put too much pressure on the hand, but you also want to put enough pressure that you're feeling that stretch in that wrist. Good. Obviously, this is not a stretch you want to do with shoes on. This would be a stretch you want to do only barefoot, but it really helps kind of open up through the wrist, even through that forearm. Good, nice deep breath here. Good, take one more deep breath. As you exhale, slowly just let go of one hand and then the other. Good, we're going to release those hands down to the earth, stepping those feet back into that downward dog. Good, release those knees. Set those hips back into child's pose. Good. Take a few deep restorative breaths there. In that child's pose, we're going to come into another flow here. Good. From that child's pose, taking one deep inhale as you come up. Tuck those toes. We're going back into downward facing dog, sending those hips up, releasing those heels down. Inhale, lift that right leg up. Exhale, bring that right leg in between your two hands. Good. Release that left heel down towards the mat so the foot is now kind of reaching towards the long side of the mat. We're coming up into warrior one. Inhale, sweep those arms up. Exhale, sink into that warrior one position. Good. Breathe. Thinking about keeping those hips square to the front of the mat. If the shoulders are getting tired, you always have the option to take prayer in front of the heart. Breathe. Take a nice deep inhale, reach through those fingertips. Exhale, bow forward to that front leg. Taking a hand on either side of that right foot, come up onto the ball of that left foot, step that right foot back, downward facing dog. Breathing here, we're going to inhale, sweep that left leg up. Exhale, take that left foot in between the hands. Good, go ahead and release that right heel down. Toe goes towards that long side of the mat. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, sink. nice deep inhale, reach through those fingertips. Exhale, fold forward over that leg. Take those hands down, take that left foot back to meet that right foot into that downward facing dog. Okay, we're gonna come into a pose called Wild Thing here. So from this downward facing dog, we're gonna take a nice deep inhale. We're gonna lift that right leg up. From here, you have the option to stay here. You can open up through that hip and just pause here. If you'd like to, we're gonna take that right foot over to the ground, sending those hips up, reaching through those fingertips, and sending the hips to the sky. Breathing here, feeling long and strong. Take one more deep inhale. As you exhale, we're going to come in just the way we came out. So take that right arm forward, flip that right hand or right foot back up, and back down to that downward facing dog. Go ahead and lower those knees, pushing back into child's pose before we go into the other side of that Wild Thing. Good. Take a nice deep inhale, pushing up into that downward dog. I'm going to move over just slightly off my mat so I don't hit my furniture. That would not be great. So take a nice deep inhale, coming up into that downward facing dog. We're going to lift that left foot up. So if you don't want to go into the Wild Thing, option to stay here, option to bend that knee and open up through that hip, or option to take that foot down, coming up into that Wild Thing. Reaching through the fingertips, the hips are reaching up to the sky, and breathe. Think about pushing the earth away from you. Take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, taking that left hand back to the earth, coming up on that right toe, and then lower that left toe down. Good, go ahead and release those knees down. Set those hips back and reach through those fingertips into child's pose. Okay, from here we're going to work through that half series once again. So from that child's pose, take a nice deep inhale out onto the hands. Exhale, lower yourself down to the ground, chaturanga. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale, child's pose. Let's do that 2 more times, flowing with your own breath. Good. As you are finishing that up, take your time, flow with your breath, meet me in that child's pose position. From here, let's take a nice deep inhale, coming out into that tabletop, tucking those toes. We're going back up into our downward facing dog. From here, we're going to work into our pigeon stretch to kind of open up through those hips. If you have a pillow or a blanket or a block, you may find that useful. So if you want to pause and grab that, that'll be good. We're going to take a nice deep inhale, pushing through those toes, lift those knees up, downward facing dog. From here, we're going to lift that right foot up. As we exhale, bringing that right knee into that right wrist, and then release down. From in our pigeon pose, I want you to think about trying to get that front leg parallel to the ground. And I want you to think about keeping the hips square. So from here, there's going to be space. That's where the block or the pillow can come in handy to kind of rest your hip there. If you do not have that, I want you to still kind of focus on keeping the hips square to the edge of your mat here. So, few variations. We're going to stay in this for just a few breaths. So I want you to think you can stay right here up on the hands. You can come up a little bit taller if that feels good. You have the option to bend the knee if you want to take a quad stretch here in that position. Or take a nice deep inhale and exhale as you fold over that front leg. So either folding to this position or all the way down to the earth. You have several options here as we sink and let that pigeon stretch open up here. We're going to stay here for just a few more breaths. I like to visualize that the stress, we carry stress so much in our hips. So I like to visualize that stress like a waterfall pouring out of my hips into the earth and away from the body. So I'm closing my eyes here. With each exhale, I try to relax a little bit deeper into this stretch. Trying to relax the shoulders, relax the forehead. Good. Take one more deep inhale here. As you exhale, find your hands wherever variation you were in. Go ahead and find those hands onto the mat. Tuck the toes of that back leg that was straight out behind you. Tuck those toes, sending that right leg up to the sky. Kind of shake it out, bend the knee, kind of releasing that hip. Good, and then release that right foot down. Noticing any differences you may feel. I feel that right leg is a little bit looser, a little bit, it just feels a little bit better than that left side right now. So I'm going to take an inhale, lifting that left leg. Exhale, take that left knee to the left wrist. And then try to make sure you get that leg parallel to the front of the mat. Extending that right leg out. Noticing any differences you may feel on each side. This left hip is much tighter for myself, and so I have to recognize that and acknowledge that and then let that go, okay? So no judging of the body here, just acknowledging and recognizing it. So here you have the same options. You can stay up in this position. Find a pillow or a block under that hip. You can grab that back foot coming into a quad stretch. Or you can take a nice deep inhale, lifting through the chest. Exhale, folding over that front leg. So wherever you want to find yourself, releasing. Again, I like to close my eyes as I begin to breathe deeply down into my belly. Relaxing through the shoulders, relaxing the forehead. Allowing this stretch to release the stress, release anything that I'm holding in the hip crease here. Good, breathing deeply here. Finding that Ujjayi breath. With each exhale, trying to sink a little bit deeper. Again, visualizing the stress flowing out into the earth and away from the body. Sure you're noticing that we're staying in this pose a little bit longer. It takes a good few, I'm trying to get to about 10 breaths in order to get to that complete release here. I feel like taking care of our hips is so very important as we are in life, as we work out, as we are just going through life. I know that, as we get older, our hips become problematic. So it's so very important to take care of them and to love on them. Good. Take one more deep breath here. As you exhale, go ahead and find your positioning where your hands are. Tucking the right toes. We're going to send the hips up, taking that left leg. Again, shaking that leg out, bending the knee. Just kind of doing whatever feels good here in that position. Okay, go ahead and release that left foot down to the ground. Into that downward facing dog. We're going to work into the shoulders a little bit here, into dolphin. So from this downward facing dog position, we're going to drop the knees. Go ahead and come onto the forearms. I like to clasp the fingertips. You may want to find prayer here or just have the arms down, whatever feels comfortable for you. So we're on our forearms here, tucking those toes. Take a nice deep inhale as we push those hips up, coming into dolphin. From here, you want to drop the heels towards the earth, taking the head in that triangle position here. And breathe, opening up through those shoulders. Good. As we are here in this dolphin, we're going to flow or swim our dolphin. Take a nice deep inhale. We're going to come out over the fingertips. Exhale, pushing back. Inhale out. Exhale, push back. One more here. Inhale out. And exhale, pushing back. Hips tall. Go take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, lower those knees down. Go ahead and release the hips. Take those hands, reach them around, and release those shoulders. Good. Take another deep inhale. As you exhale, go ahead and walk those hands out. Coming up through that tabletop, we're going to walk the knees back and become laying onto our stomachs. Good. All right, we're going to go through a couple of poses here. Just kind of opening up through the back body, also opening up through the heart. So laying here on our stomachs, go ahead and reach the hands out forward. Reach those fingertips and then reach the toes out as well. So reach as far as you can, thinking about lengthening from fingertip all the way out the toes. So feeling long in the body. Finding a few breaths here. Good. As we are here, we're going to sweep those arms around to the side. Keeping the legs down, think about rolling those shoulders back and down, squeezing those shoulder blades together. As you squeeze those shoulder blades together, you're going to lift the chest, and then I want you to reach like you're going to touch those toes. Breathe here. Take one more deep inhale. Exhale, go ahead and lower down. Release the arms next to the body. We're going to work into a bow. We're going to go half bow first, so each side, and then we'll go into that full bow. So we're going to take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, I want you to bend that right foot, bringing that foot towards that glute. Go ahead and take the right hand and reach it back towards the foot as well. Taking a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, lifting the chest and trying to lift up through that knee. Good. Feeling that stretch. Trying to kick the ceiling. Grabbing that foot, lifting the chest. Nice deep inhale. As you exhale, we're going to go ahead and lower down. Good. Go ahead and release that foot, release that hand. Take a few deep breaths here. Good. Next inhale, we're going to take that left foot, pull that foot towards the glute, reach that left hand, grabbing that foot. Good. Take a nice deep inhale and then lift. So kicking that left foot up towards the sky, pulling that chest up, and breathe. Nice deep inhale. As you exhale, release down. Nice and slow. Release the foot, release the arm. Take a few breaths here. If it feels good, go ahead and pause and take a child's pose to kind of stretch out that back. Good. Now from here, we're going to go into the full bow. So think about lifting up through the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Reach those hands towards the feet. Go ahead and pull those feet up towards the glute. Grab each foot. Take a nice deep inhale here. And we're going to inhale and lift. Good. Try to kick the ceiling, pulling that chest up. Nice deep inhales and exhales. Maybe rocking here if that feels good. Really trying to focus on the breath, kicking the heels up, pulling the chest up, opening up through the heart. One more deep inhale, exhale, lower down nice and slow. Release the feet. Go ahead and take the hands on either side of the chest, pushing yourself up into that child's pose. Nice and slow, controlled, send the hips back. As you are sitting those hips back, really slowly round out through that spine. Good, reaching the hands forward and taking that time in that child's pose. Take a nice deep inhale. We're going to come back up through that tabletop position. We're going to come into a seated position, so however you want to get there, just kind of flipping over, going into that seated position. Good, sitting up nice and tall, we're going to come into that boat pose. So from here, we have a couple of options as we work into boat. So you're going to sit up nice and tall, you can just release those hands. This could be your option number one, as long as you are engaging that core, reaching those hands. Good. Option two, we can go ahead and lift those feet up and breathe. Or you can extend those legs out nice and straight. Again, keeping the chest tall, reaching through those fingertips and breathe. Take a nice deep inhale. Hug the knees in. Exhale, release the feet down to the ground. We're going to come into our butterfly stretch. Good, so bottoms of the feet together, and then try to get the knees down as far as possible. So if you can place the elbows onto the knees and kind of help release those knees down. Or if you're feeling a little more flexible today, you can grab those feet. Wherever you are, I want you to inhale, thinking lengthening up through the crown of the head, and then as you exhale, hinging and folding over those legs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Taking a few more breaths with that in mind. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Good, take one more inhale. As you exhale, go ahead and release out of that position. Hug those knees in towards each other. And then from here, as you hug those knees in, I want you to think about rolling onto your back, one vertebrae at a time. Nice and slow, keeping those knees tucked in. And then as you relax down to the ground, release the head, and then hug the knees in towards the chest. Good, take one more deep inhale here, hugging those knees in. As you exhale, we're gonna release the feet about hip distance apart. We're gonna come into our bridge. So from here, I want you to think about pushing the shoulders down into the ground, pushing the heels and toes, all four corners of your feet down into the ground. As we take a nice deep inhale, we're gonna lift the hips, peeling one vertebrae at a time as we lift. So take a nice deep inhale, taking the lower part of your back off the mat first, and then slowly peeling up one vertebrae at a time until we come into our bridge here. Once you get the hips up to the height that feels good for you, if it's available, think about bringing those shoulder blades underneath you. Again, you can stay right here, palms down, or if it's available, you can grab those fingers underneath the body and reach, and really kind of coming into the opening through that heart center, lifting the hips, squeezing through the glutes, trying not to let the knees flare open or fall in, just having them about hip distance apart, and breathe here. Keep your head in that neutral position, try not to turn the head while you are here. Again, deep breaths. Nice, deep Ujjayi breaths. All right, from here, you're going to take a nice deep inhale. As you exhale, if you have the hands grasped under the body, go ahead and release that. Open up through those shoulder blades, so opening up through the shoulders. And then as you exhale, think about rolling down the way you came up, so one vertebrae at a time, starting up at the top of the body. Rolling down nice and slow. Good. The last thing that comes down is that tailbone. Good. And then once you're here, just letting those knees fall open from one side to the next. Good. All right, from here, we're going to come into shoulder stand, or you have the option to go to legs up the wall. So if you want to do legs up the wall, excuse me, you're going to go obviously up to a wall. I want you to think about setting the glutes as close to the wall as possible, finding that laying position here. You're going to take the legs up, and then you're going to hold there in that legs up the wall position, just letting that blood flow back down to the body. If you would like, we're going to go into shoulder stand. So for shoulder stand, you're going to be on that mat. You're going to think about stacking hips, your feet over hips, hips over shoulders. So again, you don't want to turn your neck in that position. You're going to reach those feet up, kind of roll up nice and tall, help the lower back, and then just begin to stack the body over top of each other and hold there, letting that blood flow. You can circle the ankles here. You can think about coming into a V with the legs. Just kind of doing whatever feels good here. Enjoying that shoulder stand position. Allowing the blood to flow back toward the heart, toward the brain. From this position here, if you would like, we can go into plow. So that just means you're going to release the feet back behind the head. Good. And then roll up on those feet. This is going to help your allergies, your sinuses. It's really going to release all of that, so be aware of that. And then from here, you can release the knees. If you are in that plow position, go ahead and take the heels, or grab the ankles, the heels, and just begin to slowly roll down. If you're in shoulder stand, same thing, just begin to slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time until you're lying down. If you're in legs up the wall, feel free to stay there or find your way back to the mat. hugging those knees in. Go ahead and release the legs all the way down. We're going to come into fish pose. If you did shoulder stand or plow, just kind of open up through that neck. So from here, legs go out straight, push up onto the forearms, kind of roll back on those elbows and let that head fall behind. This is kind of that counter pose to kind of open up the throat since it was restricted during shoulder stand and plow. Good, take one more deep inhale here. Exhale, just begin to lower yourself back down to the ground. Good, so you have options here for your Shavasana. This is probably your most important pose of the day. You can stay at legs up the wall or go to legs up the wall. That's an amazing relaxation technique there. You can find yourself just laying on your mat, letting those heels fall open, palms are up to the sky, and just let your whole body melt into the earth. You can take the feet together, let the knees fall open in a triangle if you want to open up through the hips a little bit more. Or you could find a pillow or a block or a blanket underneath the spine, just allowing the heart center to open up a little bit more as well. So wherever you are, finding that comfortable, relaxing position, closing the eyes, feeling each part of the body begin to melt into the earth. Relaxing through the toes, relaxing up through the calves, feeling the knees melt into the ground, into the earth, all the way up to that lower back, fingertips, elbows, spine melting up through the shoulders as they relax down into the earth, the neck, relaxing through the cheekbones, the forehead, and just being here. Bringing your focus back to that mantra that you had at the beginning of the practice. We're just trying to have quiet in the mind. If anything enters the mind, just acknowledging it and letting it flow right back out. to bring some focus back to your breath. Go ahead and begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing some energy back to the body. Go ahead and begin to bring the knees up to the chest, just kind of hugging them in, enjoying that moment together. Just bringing some energy into the body. Coming to a lying position, keeping those eyes closed as long as you possibly can. Just coming to a lying position. Good. And when you are ready, just go ahead and coming up to a seated position. Again, guys, bringing the eyes closed. Just taking this time to awaken the body. Taking a few deep breaths here in this seated position. From our seated position, we'll take a couple of sun breaths together as we end our practice. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, release. Inhale up. Exhale, release. Take one final inhale up. Exhale, bringing the hands to prayer in front of the heart. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.